fam.news.
Today, I'm honored to chat with the CEO of Purecare about how his company provides stability to retailers during uncertain times and how they evolve from a single mattress protector to an industry leader with truly innovative sourcing strategies. But that's not all. We're talking family business, leadership culture, and yes, dog training tips. My friend Sean Bergman is here, and the Fam Podcast starts. Hey, are you a mattress retailer looking to supercharge your business? Introducing Podium, your secret weapon. I use it, I'm a huge fan of it, and with Podium's AI-powered lead conversion, you can engage with customers in seconds via text, making it feel like they're talking to a friend. But hey, that's just the beginning. Podium offers texting, payments, reviews, website chat, and more, all in one place. You've got to be the most responsive retailer to help customers solve those sleep problems in the moment. Harness the power of Podium today and start growing your business. Visit podium.com right now to learn more.
Welcome to the Fam Podcast with Mark Kinsley. This is where the best in the bedding business get even better.
Welcome to the Fam Podcast.
How
you doing, Sean?
Man.
You're here. You made it. We made it.
I'm here. I'm excited to be here. I was telling you earlier, this is my first podcast ever. So forgive any mistakes that I might make, but it is really nice to be here. And I appreciate you having me on, Mark. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on. And I know that we should take a vote of the audience right now. Should I be gentle with Sean since this is his first podcast, or should we just rough him up a little bit? No, we're going to have fun.
I have a feeling you won't be gentle.
Well, hey, speaking of not being gentle, I mean, it's not a gentle time of year for us because we're heading into Las Vegas market. And I know Purecare, number one, I love your company and you and your family and your wife and the culture you've created. And your products are amazing and beautiful. And your showroom is always buzzing. Give us just a little preview since we are headed toward market.
Well, that's really nice, Mark. I appreciate that. Really do. We work really hard at Purecare, and we try really hard to really make sure we know what our customers are facing and what our end consumer is looking for in soft goods. And you know, it's been a good 15-year run with that at Purecare now. And what we're really focused on this year, especially for market, is global sourcing stability. You know, right now there's so much economic uncertainty with regards to tariffs and what could potentially happen. And could there be 60% tariffs in China or, you know, on Chinese goods overnight? Could it be 10%? Could there be no tariffs? And, you know, for us, we, especially at the insistence of some of our largest customers as well, really started looking at this a couple of years ago and saying, how do we create stability in global sourcing? How do we expand our infrastructure to ensure that if there are 60% tariffs overnight in China, do we have other countries to produce these to? Are these factories developed by us? You know, it's really important. Purecare goes through a long development process with our new factories to ensure they're making to our quality, that they understand our requirements, that they understand other requirements like Proposition 65 and Okio-Tex and you know, stuff like that. And really over the last year and a half, we've been working really, really hard to make sure that we have factories that we are producing from in Vietnam and Pakistan, in India, Portugal, you know, and really making sure that we can shift our programs, whether it's to one country or to the other, and to make products where it makes sense. You know, today, a large part of our infrastructure is in China. You know, that's where you find today, so, you know, you're closest to the raw materials, but also you find a lot of the best craftsmanship and stuff like that. And not only that, but experience, years and years of experience making our products and other products like ours. And we have some very deep partnerships there. And so right now it's really important that we take those relationships and what we've learned and expand to other countries and make sure we can tell our customers, look, we can't guarantee that prices will never increase, right? I mean, raw materials can increase, freight can increase. We've seen things happen over the last 5, 6 years, in those categories alone, but really tell them, listen, we can give you price stability where you're not going to be seeing 20, 30, 40% increases overnight because we have the ability to move our products and make them where it makes sense. And so that's really what we've been doing and the message we're really focused on this year. We've got some other cool products coming out, a couple of new mattress protectors that we're showing, and some other cool stuff. But really the conversation, and I think it's timely, is going to be very focused on how we can help our retailers sleep better at night. Based on whatever happens with these economic times coming up.
I have to say, Sean, well, thank you for sharing what that update is from the Purecare standpoint. I have to say, this is the first time pre-market I've had anybody on the podcast that isn't talking about the products that are going to launch specifically. And it just shows you sort of this post-COVID economic turmoil sanction environment that we're entering. What matters to a lot of retailers is going to be that stability of supply chain, and also just being able to forecast, not only forecast the quantities and the products you're going to carry, but like having a forecast of what that pricing is going to be. It sounds like you're really dialed into that. Was that something that retailers shared with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of our biggest retailers came to us a couple of years ago and started saying, what are your plans if these things happen? And so we had, over the last 12, 13 years, had really been researching other countries and working sporadically with factories, but we really turned up the juice there and decided we need to be not only in other countries, but deep into them, really develop relationships and make sure that we know all the logistics behind making these changes. And, to your point about products, we release products every 5 or 6 months, whether it's sheets, pillows, mattress protectors, duvets, coverlets, comforters, quilts, all of that stuff. And, to really do justice to that stuff, to the design, to the function, to the feel and the quality, come in and see us. But right now, I think what we should really be talking about is that global stability. And to your point, you're right. I don't think there's been a market where my first conversation hasn't been what new products specifically we're launching, but I do think it's timely. And I think it's important that all retailers are thinking about this and making sure that wherever they're getting their supply of products, are they doing their due diligence? Are they taking good care to ensure that retailers' revenue streams aren't interrupted?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and do you a study here on the product side of things, because I talk about my sleep setup a lot. I still have an Englander mattress that I designed. I have a BedTech 6500 adjustable base that I love. And we just swapped out every single sheet we have ever owned. We got rid of them because they're all the Dr. Andrew Weil collection by Purecare. And I have to tell you, the Percale sheets, I've never felt anything like it.
Aren't they awesome?
Nothing against like bamboo, but like bamboo gets sort of thrown around a lot, and it's fine. And I had some bamboo sheets and I had some regular cotton sheets. There is nothing like that Percale. I don't know what it is about it, but it has a lightness to it. It's easy to move around. And the weird thing is, Sean, that I wasn't prepared for, it's got this very kind of bohemian look to it. It's kind of wrinkly and stuff like that. I like it a lot. My wife likes it. And I thought it was, at first touch, the hand is a little different than a super soft sheet, but there's nothing that I can move around in easier, that feels better on my skin, that actually has it feels temperature neutral to me. And then the top of bed, the duvets and the coverlets and the bump pillows, I mean, it really transformed our entire sleep environment. It's game changing. Awesome. Anybody that hasn't tried the Dr. Weil collection, literally all of my sheets now are that. And thank you to you and your global supply chain stability for being able to get that to me.
I know. I really appreciate it. And I'm so glad you like that stuff. The Dr. Weil collection for us is such an important collection because it really moved from just, we were dabbling in other colors and duvet covers and stuff like that. But when we did the Wild collection, and really I'll give a shout out to Sarah and to Kelly Crenshaw, who's our VP of product development. They really brought in a design expertise and a knowledge of what consumers were looking for. When you go to a Pottery Barn, to a West Elm, stuff like that, that's where you're going to find this kind of quality. And, I think that that's what the end consumer expects in a mid to premium tier quality product. But it's, to your point, percale and sateen are just two different types of weaves, right? So 80% of the sheets sold in the US are sateen weave, which is that little bit softer hand, and it's the way the weave is constructed that makes it that way. And 20% is Purecale. And if you go over to Europe, 80% is Purecale and 20% is sateen. And I think that's what we're used to. And I think that, people want to touch something and go, ooh, it's so soft. And that's really important, but it's also important to have that texture and that weight and that quality of natural products. And that's the other thing about Dr. Weil's collection, is that it's all natural. Sourced in different parts of the world. But all of those sheets have just been fantastic creations, and really the rest of the program too, the duvets, the coverlets, the quilts. You can come see that at Las Vegas Market if you haven't, and we'll talk to you about global price stability there while we show you the Dr. Weil collection. But I really appreciate it, man. We're really proud of that collection. My team here has just done an incredible job, and it's really still growing. And mattress and furniture retailers specifically, this is the one thing I would say. They need to take a look inward and look at what they're doing for all of top of bed, and really say, do I want to compete in this arena? Because it's so important, these extra revenue dollars. And there's some things that you have to do to be successful, to beat the Pottery Barns, the West Elms, to have consumers come into your store and want to look and feel and touch all those different products. But I think the Wild collection is a really perfect collection to put retailers in the business of selling premium soft goods and premium bedding. So I appreciate that. I'm so glad you like the stuff.
Yeah, the quilts, I have to say, are something that could be passed down for generations. It feels like something like your amazing grandma made or had made, or it's like literally, it's going to become like an heirloom. They're so full and rich and heavy and durable, but also just comfortable. So I love it. Hey,
That's
I don't
awesome.
want to breeze over something you said. You said there are certain things you have to do in order to compete with the Pottery Barns and the West Elms. I'm going to throw out some stuff that I noticed, but I want you to give us your expertise on what people can do at retail to really compete. One thing I got this from Gary Fazio is commit to the category. If you're going to have sheets or you're going to have essentials, you got to commit to that category visually and make it arresting and make it full and have plenty of products there and maybe have some sort of demonstration. I love what Samuel and Terry Utt at Sleep USA Mattress have done. They have a 5-step process. It's numbered. And one of the stops on that 5-step journey is at the essentials station. And they have a big wall, and they had some Purecare sheets that were wrapped around a bar, and you can almost walk into them like a toga, and you could really get your hands around it. You put them on your neck and your face if you wanted to, but it was like the sensory experience, and it wasn't just a little hand sample. It was true commitment to that category. So those are two, that's sort of like a thematic look at it, committing to the category and putting some emphasis on it visually and with your POP. What else do they need to do? Or maybe you disagree with that.
Well, no, I don't. I think Gary Fazio is a pretty smart guy, as most of us know. And he's right. You have to be in the category, and you have to look. I will tell you that when we look at different categories of soft goods like mattress protectors, pillows, sheets, duvets, coverlets, comforters, quilts, all that stuff, they're all sold a little bit differently, right? So, a pillow, the general knowledge, however you do it, or whatever kind of pillows you're selling, you need to really fit the customer up front for that. You need to have them develop a comfort relationship with this pillow, right? When you go to mattress protectors, there are ways to talk about them in the beginning and address customers' allergies and asthma concerns and, cleanliness and hygiene and all that stuff that's important for mattress protectors. And then really combine that with a conversation at the end about the warranty and why it's so important to protect your mattress against stains and soils, stuff like that. But when you get into sheets, when you get into duvets, coverlets, quilts, this is a much more tactile, personal relationship with the end consumer. They want to touch and feel these materials. They want long, flowing samples that they can grab and feel and envision how it will look and feel on their bed. And they want selection, right? So they want, you used to walk into a Bed Bath and Beyond, and they were like, 500 different sets of sheets and every different color that you can think of. And really, you need to create in a smaller way that kind of presence, right? You have to have multiple colors of sheets available, multiple options that are going to fit each customer, whether it's the different fabrics or the different sateen or percale weave, stuff like that. And Purecare is really helping customers do that by developing a really strong dropship program. Look, we know that burden from inventory for retailers is a real thing. And when you're sitting on inventory for whatever reason, and whatever kind of inventory, and you've got too much of it, that's a problem, right? And so what we really do with our customers that want to get into this category in the Gary Fazio kind of way, right, and get into it, do it right, is we develop them a dropship program where, we outfit their stores with whether it's beautiful long swatches or, or samples of the product, or help the retailer create the environment that's right for their business and for what they're trying to achieve, while giving them some guidance on what we know to be true about how consumers purchase these products and what catches the eye. Um, and we really show them, look, you can have this huge selection of products and options, but you don't have to carry all this burden of inventory. We will ship it direct to the end consumer. Yes, your margins will be a little bit lower, but 0% of zero is zero. And we know over 60% of consumers leave a retail store, mattress retail store, or furniture retail store, and within 2 weeks, if they haven't bought all their soft goods at that store, go somewhere else and buy it, right? And that's just money we've walked out, especially at a time where you have the opportunity to pair all of these great soft goods that make up their whole bed with financing opportunities, right? Because that's real money, and it actually really means something to the end consumer when they're buying the adjustable foundation and $10,000 worth of furniture, and not to mention the new mattress. And oh, I don't have to go out and shell out extra money because I'm just financing this all here. And now I can add all of this stuff, all of the soft goods and all of the bedding and what makes my mattress cozy. Right there is a huge opportunity to buy all this stuff at the retail store while they're making this huge purchase and financing all of these different products. And the retailer, we're going to drop ship that directly to the end consumer's house for the retailer. And yes, the retailer is going to make a little bit less margin to pay for shipping, but 0% of zero is zero, right? And what we're doing is showing them, okay, with the right selection, with the right environment, right, we can really give you the tools that you need to show your customer that they're in this business. And once you see what's really moving at fast clicks for your organization, for your area in the country, then we can start flowing those products through to your DCs, and you start doing a lot better on margin, and the rate of sale on those products. So we like to transition new retailers or retailers that are picking up some of our new decorative programs like decorative bedding, like the Dr. Weil collection, from a DTC program to then really understanding how it works and then starting to move it through their DCs to help their burden of inventory. And that's a win-win situation for everybody.
Sean, it just hit me something that Brent Batterman said on stage at Sleep Summit really connects to what we're talking about, which is he's really big on bringing up financing early because, the primary sale is the mattress and maybe then you get the adjustable base. And then sometimes people leave the essentials, the top of bed, the soft goods to the very end. Well, if that's the case, let's just say that that's the natural flow of this sale within a sleep shop or a furniture store that's got a nice bedding department. You save it till the end. Okay, fine. Well, now when you save that sheet set and the pillows, or hopefully you introduce the pillow early, but sheets and protectors and some of those other essentials, when you save that for the end, the conversation's a little different than that's a $200 pillow versus that's only $5 more a month because you brought up financing early. And it's just, oh, great, it's a package. And then you can, talk about the economics of it being a little more palatable, but you can also build some value in it being a system and a set instead of going out and getting some random set of sheets. We merchandise this for you to work together, that sort of conversation.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And listen, I think when you're dealing with some top of bed categories like sheets, like duvets, comforters, blankets, quilts, stuff like that, I think at that point, you know, there's an opportunity for an RSA to introduce broadly what they're showing and quickly, and really say something like, touch and feel this stuff. See if there's anything you have more interest in. This is one of the few categories where I'm not all about, hey, you got to sell it early and often. You have to, talk about sheets from the beginning. This is a much more tactile purchase, right? You want to touch and feel these products. And I think there is a place for that at the end if you have the right environment, if it's inviting for consumers to come up and want to touch and feel that and ask more questions about it. And to Brent's point, I think he's absolutely right about financing. I can't tell you enough how important of a tool that is. And I think that even some RSAs look at financing as, oh, this person doesn't want financing. Well, if you're offering under 4.5% interest, right, or 4% interest, something like that, I want financing, right? I can make more money in savings than I would by, doing that financing. If you're doing 0%, I mean, that's great. That's free money. So I think you can attract everybody with financing offers and then really maximize it with soft goods. And I just think that's so clutch. And I really think retailers need to build this category away from mattress protectors, which they do great in, away from pillows, which they do okay in fairness, and into really top of bed, which is virtually, it's really very small as a percentage for our industry versus big box retailers, stuff like that.
And we know everybody's trying to maximize those tickets. If you're hopping in here, maybe you just got in the car with a friend. We're talking with Sean Bergman, the CEO of Purecare, an amazing company. Here's what we covered so far: supply chain stability during economic and political uncertainties. We've talked about committing to the category and insights on how to sell soft goods. We got into a little bit of the direct ship program by Purecare and lightening up that inventory load. And then, of course, we're talking a little bit about financing. Sean, I got to take a moment here to put all that stuff into perspective. And what I mean by that is, tell us the Purecare story. I mean, it's going to have to be a quick version, and they can go get the longer version from you at Vegas Market. But you're the CEO pretty recently, and it's a business that's a family business. How did it all start, and what were those inflection points along the way that brought you to where you are?
To give you a more abbreviated story and what really matters in the formation of Purecare, Purecare was founded originally as Fabric Tech 2000, for anyone that's done a legal agreement with us and has seen our actual name. Our DBA is Purecare. It was started in the early 2000s, and in 2000 by a longtime industry rep, actually, named Sam Chase. And any of you old school guys or men or women are going to know Sam. And he was a really successful rep, and he had kids, grandkids with allergies. And he wanted to create a product that would protect the mattress for them and protect them against allergies when they slept at night. And really, at the time, everybody in this burgeoning mattress protector business was talking about protect your mattress and protect it against stains and protect your warranty. And Sam really found the value in building a product that had a real wellness and hygiene benefit to it. And he was starting to grow, and he met a gentleman named Arnold Hirschbane. And Arnold had a son named David, and they joined together and became partners in the business. And shortly thereafter, they were able to open Sleepy's. Okay, and that's really big, and that was really their first and only customer, right? And that was fueling the company. And Sam unfortunately contracted pancreatic cancer and passed away shortly after that. And Arnold and David were doing a great job with Sleepy's, and but they were seeing a lot of challenges and working with a large retailer like that and needed help. And they knew they needed to expand their business. And in 2009, Richard Polivoy introduced Jeff and Arnold. I was at the time working at Furlough Mattress Factory Stores, the franchise organization in Milwaukee, or actually they were headquartered in, oh my gosh, it was a creamery building in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. That's where it was. And I was living in Milwaukee and commuting in. That's where I met Sarah. She was living in Janesville, Wisconsin, and was working so you had Furlough Mattress Factory Stores and you had Vimac, and they were kind of all owned by the same entity. But I was on the Furlough side, Sarah was on the Vimac side, and that's where we originally met. Anyway, so Jeff and Arnold, Jeff was looking for a new opportunity and a new business to grow. And he's had a history in his career of just being an incredible growth agent. With any company he's in, he really understands how to just energize businesses and grow them. And so it was really a great partnership. So Arnold, Jeff bought into the company. Arnold, David, and Jeff became partners. And Jeff calls me one day, and I'm in Milwaukee, and he's like, "Listen, I'm in this new business. It's a mattress protector. I'm going to send it to you." We had a couple of products. We had a total encasement mattress protector. We had a pillow protector. I mean, just the beginning of this. And he sent it to me, and I thought it was a good quality. And he said, "Listen, I'm buying into this business, and I want you to join me." And he said, "But I can't afford you for a year. So can you do your other job and help me build this business, help me get this thing started? And come join me in a year." And I said, "Absolutely." I thought it was a great opportunity. And so I was kind of doing both. And at the time, Sarah was my girlfriend, and she was, of course, now she's our CMO and head of product development. But at the time, she was a designer, a graphic designer, incredibly talented. And, she was looking for some extra work and to do some freelance stuff. And so, I said to Jeff, we should really pick up Sarah to do some design. We had some new packaging designs that were needed. And we were talking to, firms, marketing firms, stuff like that to help us. We had some invites for market, little stuff like that. And Sarah just jumped in. Her favorite story to tell is that between the two of us, she got paid first by Purecare, which is absolutely true because she was doing freelance and I was working for free. But the rest is history from there. Jeff joined and, started immediately adding, with his 30 something, 40 years of business experience, immediately started adding retailers. And, I was helping, and, we just started to really grow. And so I joined in 2010 officially. And we've had an incredible run for the past 15 years, not without challenges, just like any business has. But we really are very much a family business. Arnold has passed away since, unfortunately, and but David is still with us. He's my partner. He's a great guy, and we all get along really, really well. And Jeff is our chairman of the board, and he's an incredible advisor and counselor. Um, and we're having a lot of fun. So, today we're rocking and rolling and doing our thing.
I'll never forget. Thank you for sharing that. That's an amazing story. And I love stories of family businesses. And, I heard a guy say, one time that his whole dream was to create a business that allowed him to work with his family members, his kids. And that was the ultimate in his life. And you guys have had a chance to do that. And everybody that knows Jeff loves him. Everybody knows Sarah loves her. Everybody that knows you loves you. And, it's just really cool to see how far you guys have come since, gosh, it's been a short amount of time. And I have a personal story about Arnold that I'll never forget. And I was brand new in the industry, and I went to my very first conference, very first one. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And Leggett was a client of mine at the time. I wasn't even officially in the industry. I was on the marketing agency side, and they were my client. They wanted me to come down, and I said, sure. And I'm walking around like a lost puppy most of the time. I didn't know anybody, and just trying to make some friends. And I'm outside of the hotel, and it was the evening, and the fire was going. It was dark. A bunch of people are gathered up by the pool, and I'm just walking around, and I passed this group of guys, and this gentleman waved me over. He said, you want a cigar? And I said, sure. I'd love a cigar. And I said, thank you so much. I didn't know who I was going to spend any time with, and it was Arnold.
That's awesome.
He reached out to me, just being the good soul that he was. It was really special. It meant a lot to me.
He's a great guy. We really miss him. We really do. And to your point about family businesses, I will tell you, and this is funny because Sarah and I met a couple of months ago, and they were talking about their family business, and the wife was talking to Sarah. I hear this later about how she wants to tear her hair out most of the time, and you need to really be sure that it's the right dynamic, and that's what's been so lucky about Purecare. Sorry, this whole thing almost. That's the thing that's been so lucky about Purecare is we all have really enjoyed each other, working with each other. We trust each other. And we know that when one person has it, it's going to get done. And that, look, that extends to David, and it extended to Arnold, even though we're not blood, we were family. And we have people in this business that have been working for us as long as I have, 14, 15 years. And they're family too. And so I think the thing I'm most proud of today is Purecare's culture and the closeness and the support that we all give each other. And I think that comes from the family business when it's done right. So we're very fortunate. We've been very lucky, and it's worked out really great. We all really love spending time together, and we enjoy it. And I hope everyone that's doing a family business has the same outcome and result.
Well, Sean, I know that's so encouraging to hear. I know for so many people in this industry, they do have family businesses. And for many, even if you're not officially in the business, you're around the dinner table and you're being a support role for that person who's operating in the business. And Tara and I are a little bitty small family business. We got a little team around us, but you're talking about the joy of it. One of the joys I know you have in life beyond being able to work with your family is dog training.
I love some dogs, man.
You love some dogs.
I love some dogs.
You love dog training. And the last time we talked, we were kind of pre-gaming it for this podcast and just catching up a little bit. And you turned me on to some dog training because I walked away, and I've got a puppy that's a year and a half, and I'm like, I really want to, be able to give him the guidance and support he needs to be his best and live in town like we live in town. And you said, you got to go get Mike Ritland's video.
Mike Ritlin, teamdog.pet. If you're looking for the best training courses that you can find generally for like learning about puppy to adult dogs, how to manage them, how to communicate with them. Um, because, I think a lot of people don't realize that dogs, 90% of the time when they're acting up, are super confused. They have no idea what you want from them, what your expectations are. And while we might try to communicate them, it's difficult. It's difficult to learn how to communicate properly with dogs. Um, they are 80% nonverbal, right? And their learning style is 80% nonverbal and or non-auditory, I would even say. And so when you think about humans and how humans learn and how we communicate, it's such a different thing. And it takes some time, and you really need to spend a lot of time with dogs to really understand what they're thinking and what they're feeling. And Mike Ritlin is one of my personal heroes. He also started the Warrior Dog Foundation, and the Warrior Dog Foundation exists to bring home service dogs, whether it's military, police, search and rescue. Service dogs who, were separated from their handler or couldn't be with their handler for whatever reason. A lot of times handlers don't get to retire, but it's time for the dog to retire. Or, there's a home situation where they can't bring that dog home after its service. And so the Warrior Dog Foundation gives those dogs incredible lives and has a great facility and rehomes them to experienced or veteran handlers that know how to not manage those dogs, but know how to fulfill those dogs' needs. And if they can't, for whatever reason, the dog isn't in the right mindset to be rehomed, then they live their lives out with dignity and with a really great experience at the Warrior Dog Foundation. So Mike Ritlin is just an incredible guy. He's, he was an ex-Navy SEAL, and after that really got into dog training, and he trains some of the best dogs in the world. He sells personal protection dogs for, I don't know, up to $250,000. I mean, fully trained, ready to go. It's insane. But they think for themselves. And, I know we were talking earlier about um, offering and shaping behaviors, and you were talking about how with Jax, dogs want to offer behaviors. And if they're offering them and we're not telling them what to do or leading them with the treat all the time, to sit or, to lay down or whatever, they start to think for themselves and they start to problem solve. And that problem solving starts to stack as they get over. And if we get to them young when their minds are mush, and we can mold those minds, we can teach them to be real critical thinkers. And that is really what Mike Ritlin's training program sets the foundation for, right? Just how to get your dog to offer behaviors, and then how to shape those behaviors into what you want and name them much later. Because remember, 80% is not auditory for dogs, and we want to communicate with them in different ways. So I'm so glad you found success with that. That's certainly, for me, if anyone really wants to learn how to train their dog, I'd start there.
Yeah, it's teamdog.pet, P-E-T,
Yep.
teamdog.pet.
That's right.
And it was like the best $100 I've spent in a long time, because it's $100 that's contributed to deepening my friendship with my best friend there, my little bud. And, I want to, for people that aren't familiar with dog training, number one, I'm having to learn how to be a trainer. So I'm getting, Jax and I are learning together. And what you described was this idea of offering behavior. We got to this, now he does it a lot now. He'll sit on his own, but in the beginning, you would kind of like change your body position. And once he would touch his tail down on the floor, there's a little clicker. Sounds like that. Yep. And then you mark that behavior, and then you give him a treat. And now over time, he knows, like, okay, I'm going to offer a behavior of sitting down. I'm going to offer the behavior of park it, which is staying in his spot. But beyond that, like marking the behavior and then getting them to a state of mind of offering, which is, a deeper bond. It's them thinking for themselves. What you described about not just trying to lure them all the time, but
Mhm.
using that nonverbal, using my body position and helping him understand, like, okay, you're not going to shoot out the door. So I just get my body in front of him and back him up a little bit. And he knows,
Mhm.
oh, okay, I'm rushing the door. I need to wait. And wait
Right.
is his word for pause in action. I'm going to get what I want. And
Great.
so I hadn't been using my body position the right way, and he was confused. The other breakthrough we had was on leash. I could not figure
Yes.
out how to get him to stop pulling. He's a little scared.
Mm.
So when we would turn back toward the house, I mean, it's a dead sprint. And I've got one of those little training collars on it that cinches
Mhm.
down. I don't know what they're
Yep.
called. But Mike showed me on the video, Mike Ritland, that when you're training on a leash, number one, don't be lazy with the leash. And so have just like the right amount of little tension on there to give them that guidance that they need. But also, when you're leash training, it's not about going out for a long ass walk. A lot of times you won't make it 50 feet because the dog's going to pull. You're going to either signal to them with a little choke of the chain, hey, nope. And if they keep doing it, you turn them all the way around in a 360 around your body and you stop. And the dog's going to be like, why the hell aren't we moving? I thought we were moving. And then they're going to figure out, oh, I can't do that. They start thinking for themselves. We don't even use any words on leash training now. It's all body movement, the mechanics, the feel, turning in circles.
Amazing, isn't it?
And we don't
You
say
know,
anything. And it's working really well.
I'm so glad. And look, I would say a couple of things early, just, as we start talking about this. When you go to most dog trainers, right, that are actually dog trainers, I'm not a professional. I've been doing it for quite a while now. I don't do it, for my professional job. But what I've learned in this time is that all dog trainers think their system is the only way to work and that their tools are the only thing that works because they're experts in that system. And to your point of becoming an incredible, a better handler, you know, your dog is generally as capable as you are as a handler, right? And so the more you know, the more you, like you're talking about, you can communicate with body language, you can really get through to them. There are so many methods that do work, right? But I think everybody needs like a starting place just to start decoding the difference between species because so often you see people yelling and screaming at their dogs and not getting any results. Well, it's because the dog thinks you're barking at him, right? It doesn't understand anything you're going at.
Yeah, it's Charlie
And
Brown and the adult. Wah, 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 wah.
right. No, it really is. And when I grew up with dogs, my whole life growing up and always loved them, but actually had a bit of a fear for really bigger dogs. And it started when I was little. My parents went out one night and bought this Eskimo Spitz, which is like a mix between like a wolf. I do this because I'm not 100% sure that's what I heard, and a Samoyed, right? So it's like, it looks like a wolf, but this dog was straight from the pet store back in the 80s when that was like a thing. And this dog was crazy and no one knew how to deal with it. And this dog took me for a ride, man. I mean, I was probably 5, 6 years old. I mean, it would beat the hell out of me. No doubt. Like I try and walk it, it'd run me down brick steps, it'd run me into walls. Like I was totally owned by this dog. And, I had smaller dogs growing up, but I always respected and loved the power of dogs like that. And about 14 years ago, I got a Rottweiler. Love the look of Rottweilers. I had no idea what I was doing. Absolutely no idea what I was doing. And it was a high drive Rottweiler, is what you might call a German Rottweiler, which is not the big 130-pound American bred, Rottweilers, but actually a pretty lean, mean, shorter, smaller, but about still 100 pounds in his prime. And I had a bad trainer who was also the breeder. And I went down kind of a spiral, and that poor dog had a great life, but he could have lived life so much more full if I had known the stuff that I know today. And so, like, when it comes to reactivity and dealing with dogs that are struggling, there are so many resources out there, but you really have to understand why the dogs are acting the way they are and kind of go from there. Hi, Jax.
Look at who
What a
just
good
wandered into
boy.
my podcast studio.
Oh, that we knew his ears were burning.
Did you
That's
know
a
we were
good
talking about you,
boy.
buddy? If you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing little Jaxie over here. He's a good boy. He really is a
Well,
sweet,
I
sweet
can
dog.
see
High
that he
five.
loves you, and it was so much fun talking to you about him at the at the FAM event, and really getting to hear what you guys were doing with him. But I'm so glad it's worked out, man. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. And like I said, I mean, he's just he understands me better. I understand him better. I'm
That's
speaking
great.
his language, and we're, having better interactions with people coming into the house. He's a very docile dog. He doesn't have high prey
Yeah.
drive like you talked about. Um, it makes me kind of curious, Sean.
Yeah.
With all your you say you're not a professional dog trainer. You know a lot about dog training. Have any of the insights translated over to interactions with people or business or anything, or is it really just a separate world?
That's a really good question, and I'm just processing some stuff. You know what, Mark? It's really interesting because, at first I got into this to help learn why my Rottweiler was out of control. Right. And then it started to become a passion, and that passion offered a break, a way for me to go out and stretch my legs and get into a hobby and something that, you know, really gave me kind of a stress relief. That's what I get from dogs. I get, a lot of happiness and stress relief when I'm working with them and training them. And we do more specialized training and stuff like that, but it's really cool. The one thing I would just say, if you want a similarity, is I always, say, you know, we do the work. We put our heads down and we do the work. And when I say that, I mean, we research, we learn, we go through the process at work to do the best work that we can at Pure Care. And with dogs, it's very much the same. You need to do the work. You need to learn how to communicate with the dog. And if you take the energy to do that and then spend the time with your dog, you will see results that are incredibly rewarding. So on the spot, that's the best I could think of, because they're two, in fact, very compartmentalized parts of my brain, right?
It is, like you said, though, it is about that doing the work and that consistency over time. Because if
Yeah.
you're going to build a business by that compounding effect of showing up and doing the work and putting your head down.
Yep.
And when you're working with your dog, there's a compounding effect to the consistency every day of doing that work together. Whereas if you're peppering it in once a week or a couple times a month, you're not going to get those results for your dog or for your business,
Right.
for that matter.
Yeah. No, it's really true, man. And there is everybody talks about the bond, right, between them and their dog. And, but few people really understand that bond. Like when you've put in the time and energy, and when the dog is receiving what you're putting out and is positive about that, and everything about you and the environment that you set up with your dog is a positive environment, a positive experience. We seek out those positive experiences. You have a different kind of relationship, and it just hits you like it's the most one of the most important relationships you can have in your life. And so it starts at a young age, or older if you rescue a dog, but it starts on day one. And if you put the work in, you'll be rewarded with just an incredible relationship. It's pretty awesome, man. It's meant a lot to me.
And I think that thought right there is a great closer, because it applies to so many different areas of relationships, whether it's with your dog or your colleagues or your family, or it's inside of a family business where you have relationships with lots of amazing customers. Sean, thank you
Yeah.
so much for being on the FAM podcast. You're an amazing guy. I have so much respect for you. Congratulations on everything that you and your team have done. Go see Sean at Las Vegas Market. They're on the seafloor on 1595.
95, 85. I think we're connected. I think we own
Yeah,
all that with Knickerbocker. So you'll find us. Go
you'll find them.
1595, 1585. You'll find us.
Well, Sean, thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for sharing some dog training tips. And if
Yeah.
anybody wants to get in touch with you, I know they can go to purecare.com and drop a line in the contact form, or where else
Yeah.
can they find you?
They can find me at sbergman@purecare.com or seanb@purecare.com. Feel free to email me, and Mark, it was very nice what you said. Thank you so much. And I think you're incredible, and what you're doing is incredible, and Tara too. And so just keep it up, man. And hope to see you soon in Vegas.
Hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, thank you, Sean. Share it with a friend, send it to your colleagues. I know I've got a bunch of notes that I'm taking, so get out that highlighter and make sure to send this along, whether you listen on Spotify or Apple or YouTube. And then go to thefam.com and subscribe to our newsletter, and we'll see you here every Monday on the FAM podcast.